Hey gun people, talk about camouflage. Remember cover, concealment. Concealment hides you. Camouflage would fall under concealment. I'm gonna go through some pictures here instead of trying to paint my face and show you how I do it or how anybody does it. I'm just gonna give a lot of examples and kind of. Most people in the military, any tactics, you're gonna figure this out. In police work, it's not camouflage isn't that important unless you're working undercover. Then you want to blend in with the people around you. You don't want to dress, even though you're not in uniform. If you look like a cop and wear a trench coat and a suit, people are going to figure out who you are. So camouflage is basically the art of blending in, disguising yourself, not sticking out, being invisible or unseen. So as you can tell, there's plenty of different styles of camouflage out there. Whether you're in the snow, depending on where you're at is what type of camouflage you're going to use. So you can't have one camouflage for wherever you deploy. You can have a general, kind of you get your browns and your greens. You'll probably blend in most places, but if you get in a light place, you know, like this camouflage here, if I was in a light place where it had some light foliage, I might be okay. If I was in this place and I wore that, I would stick out. If I wore that in this type of environment, I would stick out. So camouflage is about breaking up lines and blending into your environment. And Mother Nature and the animals do this pretty well. So let's look at this little animal here. This leopard breaks up. I can't tell if it's cheetah or leopard. I can't see its eyes. It looks, I think it's a leopard. I forgot the spots on a leopard or cheetah. But anyway, I know the cheetah has the tears running down, the dark black tears, so like they're crying for cheetah. So I don't see the big teardrops running down his eyes, so he must be a leopard. But anyway, you can tell from a distance how he blends in. His shading is not one color. So when he lays, the lower part close to the ground is lighter and it blends in versus his upper part is a little darker, so it blends in with the foliage around him. Here's a nice little bird, just got some good camouflage on it. From a distance, be very hard to see. You've got these guys on their tanks wearing white. Most camouflage in snow is white. You can have some white with some black stripes to kind of break up the mummy look. Like these guys, you know, unfortunately, they're wearing white, so they're not going to be seen real easy in the snow. But these straight lines from the guns and the poles and the black boots and the black faces really make them distinguishable very easy on what they are or what you're looking for. So you want to play with the eye and the mind in camouflaging yourself. If you can tell here, she's got a camouflage skirt on, which kind of blends in nicely with the rock. And then the dark colored top camouflages how big she is or how small she is. So we have camouflage even in other environments. Here comes the hate mail. You're a sexist! Whatever. Look. So this guy does some pretty good camouflage here. A lot of people that do camouflage will only do their face. They neglect the back of their neck, their ears, and their hands. Those are critical parts when you're camouflaging because those are things that you want to break up also. They tend to stick out. So his hands kind of blend in his uniform, his neck, head, and his helmet. You know, I see some people with camouflage. They're camouflage everywhere, and they got a solid, just big old dome helmet on. And I'm like, dude, you're not camouflage. But anyway, everybody's always cracking on everybody's camouflage. So anyway, this is a nice owl kind of camouflaged into this tree. At a distance, a predator couldn't see him. And if he's hunting something, it couldn't see him. So again, camouflage is blending. Looking. This one's so well camouflaged I can't even tell what they're hiding. I didn't read it or anything, I just kind of looked at it. It looks like it's a pair of pants laying on a tree. It looks almost like a real picture and like a real twig, but I think it's a piece of cloth that just has really good camouflage on it. So this guy did pretty good on his face. I mean, he put a lot of time. You can tell the detail where his face is very blended into dark lights, greens. Again, if he's in a green urban area, or not urban area, jungle type environment, he's going to blend in good. That wouldn't blend in good if he was standing next to a gray building or brown building. So camouflage, again, is your environment. This guy's doing pretty good blending into this tree here. He's got some good camouflage, got some leaves. A lot of people will put leaves. This looks like tarps. Torn up burlap is a very common use for this. And you just stitch it. You get a net and you stitch burlap on any type of thin net, and you have a pretty good camouflage blanket. And a lot of times a blanket is just as good. You can drape it over your shoulders. It helps you move. When you lay down, you throw it over your body. It breaks up your lines. It covers your gun. You can shoot through it. You can kind of see through it. So, you know, if you don't have a suit or you don't have that, a nice thin net that you sew some things into it. This one is, again, we're talking about breaking up lines. This is the same ship, and although they both stand out against the water, if you're scanning quickly, this is much more recognizable immediately as a ship, whereas this could be passed over if he was by cliffs or had a background or a mountain behind it. He would blend in a little bit better. Does it really help in this picture right here? Maybe not. It still breaks it up to where it's not immediately recognizable as a ship. When people are looking for things, when they're looking for bodies, they're looking for arms or firearms, or they're looking for tanks, their eye is kind of focused on that. And if it doesn't immediately hit it, that's a good way to kind of trick the mind a little bit. This owl does a good job of blending in. There's some guys hidden in here, I think, and I can't even find them. I looked all over this damn picture. I can't find out who's hiding where, but that's got some snow, so all white might blend in okay, but white here with some brown straps or dirt. If I was in this area and I had a white camo, I would pick up some dirt from the local area and rub it on parts of my camo so I don't look like a white snowman, and it would help me break up if I had to duck down or hide. Camouflage is a lot about keeping your visibility low, not moving quickly, not silhouetting yourself. I'll get into silhouettes later in another video. This guy hiding does a really good job. It took me a while to find him. So this guy has a gun. He's got a bow and arrow on his back, and he's got a web gear on with a lot of ammo. And see if you can see him. And you've looked for a while. You're dead by now. If he wanted you, you're dead. Okay, well, actually, he's not even there. There's actually a little bitty bird right here that's very well camouflaged. There's his beak and eyes. So, but you weren't looking for that, so you probably missed it. And now that I showed you, you can see it. But that's the art of camouflage. You want to look like something else. That little bird's right there. If I zoom in on him, you can kind of see him more. And then when I zoom out, you can kind of see. So now that you know where he's at, when you look at this picture, it's almost automatically you see him. But when I told you there was a guy with a gun and you had your mind set on that, you probably didn't see the bird. Maybe you did. Somebody's going to be, I saw the bird immediately. You don't know what you're talking about. All right, whatever. Fucking idiots. Okay, this is the guy I'm talking about here. See the dome helmet? So he's got all this other camouflage. His gun looks good. He's got some good foliage hanging on him. And that's great. A problem that people don't realize is people will break trees and really camouflage like a foxhole that they're going to be in for a few days, and they'll break foliage and they'll put it around there, and it blends in really good on day 1, maybe day 2, but then as it starts dying and changing colors, it sticks out worse than a damn foxhole would. So you have to refresh and change. If you're using live foliage that you're breaking off or local stuff, you have to remember, if I hang a branch on me, I have to change that. I can't leave the same leaf on me because it's going to die, it's going to look out of place, and then that's going to stick out. And the whole thing about camouflage is you're not sticking out. You want to blend in. This is a pretty good picture. This guy standing here on a blind. He's hunting, and he's got a bow and arrow. He's a little bit easier to see here. He's drawing back his elbow. There's his arm. And again, hunters are usually pretty good at camouflage because they've learned to hide from animals, and animals can smell them and see them. So if you're hunting, you're probably going to be pretty up on camouflage and breaking up your body line and not being seen quickly. This is kind of what I call old school camouflage, or where we paint our face. And they have ink for this. They have it in tubes. We used to use dirt, mud. A lot of guys would just bag a small bag of charcoal and give everybody a charcoal brick. Works great. You just rub that charcoal brick for black, and it really blends in. You can shade. you know, make it lighter and darker. If we didn't have anything, we'd pull some ashes out of the fire, some burnt wood, a stick that was burnt, and used it. It would make that black charcoal, and you can camouflage yourself. Again, if you're out there, you may not have paint or whatever, so you have to be able to blend in quickly, and you always want to make sure and blend in the environment you at, especially if you're on the move, because you may move from one environment that you camouflage in, now you move to another environment, and now you stick out because you didn't readjust your camouflage. This guy's got binoculars. He blends in pretty good except for his arm and his binoculars. You notice the two black things stick out. They're symmetric. They're very even. It's pretty easy to see those two circles on his binoculars. So, you know, that sticks out. Those are the things you want to make sure you're not reflecting. I talk about in another video where the sun's coming from and where you're looking and silhouetting. Let's see here. Planes. Planes will have different camouflage on the top than on the bottom. On the bottom, a lot of planes are grayish whited because that's what the skies mostly look like. They may have some light blues in it. So if the enemy is looking up, it's going to make it harder for you to see the plane from the bottom. However, if you're flying low or doing some mission low, you don't want a fighter coming up looking for you and be able to spot you. So this plane has got a paint camouflage on top, which really helps it blend in from the top. It also helps it blend in if it's parked on the ground. So when it's parked, it doesn't look like a plane, so it's not easy for the enemy to come find and blow it up. And again, you're just disguising something from your adversary or enemy. This guy does a pretty good job on blending in. This guy does okay, except for the big white circle. From a distance, you can kind of tell that he kind of blends into the grass there. You can make out his body line. But again, when you're scanning and looking for an area quickly, you just don't want something standing out. That's what you want to do. Blend in. Be the grass. Be whatever it is that you're trying to be. This guy does pretty good camouflage except for his face, the shiny knife, and his hands. His hands aren't done, so they stick out. The knife sticks out. The rest of him does a pretty good job. But that face and hands stick out. So again, you know, you need to adjust your camouflage. You need to go out there maybe with a camera and hide and see, and then come review it when you view it black. If you have a drone, if you have somebody to tell you how they can see you or something. Work on your camouflage. If you're doing training with each other, you want to try and go out and hide and see if somebody can see you. You know, they just threw some white blankets because they're in the snow to cover up this cannon. I don't know if it's surface there. I don't know what. Tanks, it's camouflage. However, they've got tree and brush on it. Notice this branch he's bringing here. He picked up a dead branch. That almost sticks out because all this is pretty green. And now he's going to put this dead branch on top. So is this going to look like a pile of rubbish that may stick out and the enemy may fly over and go, why is there a pile of rubbish right there and there's nowhere else? Who's piling up that rubbish? That's not how trees naturally die, in a pile. So that will catch the attention if he puts that in there. It would be better if it looked like real trees. Again, things to consider when you're camouflaging. This guy does a pretty good puzzle camouflage here. This guy does pretty good camouflage. If you don't spot him right away, it may take a second. And again, if it takes a second, that's good. That means you're doing a good job because you're not immediately standing out. This guy's pretty good. He's got his gun camouflage. You can't see the gun. He breaks up those lines. This is Bev Doolittle. She does some nice pictures. And this picture here is called Doubling Back. You see the bear tracks in the white, and that's what most people focus on. You focus on the rocks, and nobody really focus, even though the bear is right in the picture. Right there. And nobody sees him because he's camouflaged in nicely. So again, nature does it. Bev Doolittle does a lot of these. I think I have another one of hers. I like her horsey photos. So these horses are pretty cool. How many horses do you see in a picture? I think there's 5 or 6. Let's see if I can count them. 1, 2, 3. That's a nose. 4 and 5. There might be one more that I missed. But anyway, again, camouflage. They look like their environment. You've got brown rocks and they've got brown and white. They're in the snow. Now, will they be camouflaged once the green comes out? No. So they got good camouflage in the winter, but once it greens up and there's no snow, that white and brown's going to stand up. They can't change like a human can change our environment. This picture kind of caught me right away because it looked phony. Although it looked like the ocean and it might have been a good job of trying to do camouflage, this looks like a blanket to me. It's either bad Photoshop or some sort of blue blanket and it's just looking like the water. But again, that's what sticks out when you scan things. You see things that somebody's trying to appear normal, but wait a minute. This water isn't on the ground. It looks like it's going up. It's not flowing over a body normally. It looks straight. It's casting a shadow. Those are the things you don't want to do when you're trying to camouflage yourself. And then this is one of those optical illusion things. Supposedly if you stare at this picture long enough, you'll see a pool in the background. I ain't found it yet. It's pretty good. Anyway, so we'll end that there on camouflage. Yeah, I know. Good little leopard. Things to consider. Again, breaking up, messing up, blending in with the environment. If you're in browns, have browns on you. Have the same environment. If you scan your environment where you're at or where you're moving, if you're moving, you may have to plan a little bit differently because you're going to be moving from open ground to hidden ground. You may want to redirect your path. Since you're camouflaged as a tree, you may want to stay in the tree line versus taking a most direct route, which would lead you across a barren field of brown, and you're still looking like a tree. So you may have to change if concealment is your main goal. You may have to change your direction. You may have to modify your plan. Camouflage isn't one of those things like I'm going to go out and get camouflage so I can be hidden in everything. It's not like that. It's a process. It's constantly evolving. It's constantly changing. All right, so we'll end that there on camouflage.